Hi, this is Phil from PDQ Merchant Enterprises and ATM Mastermind Group page, and in today's video I'm going to give you my top 10 ATM tips when getting into the ATM business. The second thing you want to do is you want to target a smaller bank, not the big four. These banks are outstanding banks. However, in the ATM business, they basically blacklist all people who are in the ATM business. And so if your account hasn't been shut down, it will be going forward. They have protocols that they just want to eliminate these types of businesses from their business. So one of the first things you want to do is when you have your agreement, you want to make sure you have a disconnection or a termination fee. Usually what we try to do is we try to set somewhere between $100 and $200 if they decide to disconnect your ATM. And then the second thing we do is we put on we make the merchant responsible for the lifetime of the remaining contract. So let's say you have 100. Make it easy for math. You have 100 transactions a month. Your end, let's say, is a $3 surcharge. You give the location 50 cents, and you have $2.50. So $2.50 times 100 is $250 times the remainder of the contract. Whatever that is, let's say you have 30 months, so you got $2,500 actually you got $3,000 per year for 30 months. So that comes at $9 grand. You have $9,000 left on an agreement that the new ATM owner and or the location have to reimburse you. Tip number one, when you're approaching the location and you're starting to talk to them about placing an ATM in the location, the number one thing that I always lead off on is no cost to them. We're going to put the ATM in. We're not going to charge you anything to do it. We're going to put our money in it. It's our ATM. We're going to put it in your location. We're going to bolt it to the floor. It's not going to cost you anything. There's no hidden fees. And we're going to service this ATM. So I keep going over the fact it doesn't cost them anything. Okay? And in fact, we're going to vault it. A lot of times what happens is you'll run into this from time to time that somebody put an ATM or approached this location with putting in an ATM in there, and then what they said is, oh, you have to put your money in. So we have a lot of conversations where they say, well, you're going to put the ATM in? You say, yes, that's what we said. And say, oh, so I got to put my money in it? No, you don't have to put your money in it. What we'll do is we'll put our money in it. There's no cost to you. You don't have to do anything, and we will put our money into it. I say that over and over because sometimes they don't hear it and they don't get it because they've been approached in previous times with somebody else coming in and saying that they will put the ATM, but the store owner will have to put their money into it. I started with C, chairs. So when we went into the first barbershop, what I noticed in my first one is it was basically a one-man shop. He had two chairs. One, he was there all the time, and then when he got his overflow, he had another guy there part-time that he would get some of the overflow walk-ins. Okay, so to really kill it in the barbershop game is you got to look and see how many chairs they have. So what I suggest is you start with at least 4 or more in the barbershop, and you want to find out, are those chairs full most of the time, or do they just have 4 chairs? Because it doesn't make any sense if they're just empty chairs. We need them full almost all the time. Point number 2 is you want to stay with that particular model, okay? Which means is if you're buying new of, let's call it the Halo 2, we were on pretty much a Knowledge Yosung company. Just by the example that I told you, just kind of fell into it. But so we came up through the generations. But what you want to do is you want to stay with the model that you started out with. So let's say right now, if you just got into the business, what you want to do is, and let's say you decided to go to Knowledge Yosung, you want to stay with the Halo 2. So once you master the Halo 2 and you're very familiar with the Halo 2, And then there might become an opportunity where you can buy a used Halo 2. So we suggest you would buy, if you don't buy a brand new Halo 2, then you would buy a used Halo 2. Same thing with Gen Mega. Maybe you had a 2500, so you have an opportunity to buy a 2500 used, then you can buy that used 2500. You're gonna learn the ebbs and flows of the manufacturer, and you're gonna learn what some of the challenges are with with that particular model. Now, every manufacturer, even though, I mean, they're really great, they work hard, they're engineers, but from time to time, over wear and tear, over lifetime, things wear out a little bit faster than other things, and you're going to understand what those things are, and you're going to know how to minimize your downtime and maximize your profit. Point number 2, you always want to set up a corporation when you set up your business, okay? You don't want to start as a sole proprietor. You don't want to do a DBA. What you want to do is you want to set up a corporation. My personal brand choice is an S Corp. You can set up a C Corp if you're a big corporation, or you can set up an LLC. LLC seems like to be the hot item here when you're looking to set up a business. However, if you do decide to go an LLC route, you do not want to just leave it as a partnership. So I always try to steer people away from the LLC, steer them into the S Corp. But because people think if they got the LLC, I'm good as gold. That's not true. You still have to file your taxes as S Corp. So I cut that whole situation out, and I just tell you guys to set up a corporation, an S Corp. Of course, I'm not a certified accountant. I'm gonna put that disclaimer out there. So always speak to a certified accountant to let you know all your options. However, in my personal 20 years in business, these are some of the guidelines and the things that I have discovered, and I just want to share that with you on today's video. Fourth term is a registered ISO. That's Independent Sales Organization. So when I started in the business, I started just like everybody else did. We started as an agent, and as we got bigger and better and more transactions, then we became, what we try to do is we register with the networks, became a registered ISO. So we register with Pueblo Bank and Trust. We pay Visa, MasterCard, Sears, Pulse, NICE, all these banks. We pay them a yearly subscription fee to be part of being a registered ISO. So you have to do a tremendous amount of volume just to break even after you have your costs. So how you always check to see if there's a registered ISO is when you get your sticker, it'll say the name of your company, who is a registered ISO of that particular sponsor bank. And if you go to their website, it'll say somewhere on the bottom of their website, registered ISO with, let's say, MetaBank or Wells Fargo or Pueblo Bank and Trust or Citizens Bank, and then you know you're dealing with pretty much the end user, okay? And one of the advantages of dealing directly with an ISO is that they control a lot of what the reporting and what you're able to see as an agent. So you want to make sure that whoever you're doing business with, you have access to a lot of reports that can be beneficial. When I started in the business again, they didn't give me any reports. We had to go and check out the ATM day after day to try to figure out what the cash flow is. But you know what? Maybe today, and some of the agents that you're dealing with, they'll give you some of that reporting. But always, that's one of the things you want to be able to get is the reporting, because without the reporting, you're not going to be able to see the money in your ATMs, and it's going to be very hard to be a good, reputable company if your ATM keeps running out of money. You're trying to do business with this bank, and you're going to tell them all the challenges associated with the ATM business as far as they're concerned, and they're not really advantageous to go into business with you. So point number 1, develop a relationship with that bank before you try to open up an account. You're gonna learn how, okay, Phil, I want to know, how do I get into this hotel? We're going to teach you. Oh, I want to get into this bar and restaurant. We're going to teach you. Hey, I don't know how to get into a grocery store or a convenience store or a liquor store. How do I break this cycle? I'm trying, the guy won't talk to me. How do I do it? We're going to teach you all that. That's what we're going to do. We're going to save time. Instead of going back and back and back and back and wasting a lot of time, we're going to save your time, and we're going to give you proven sales methods of how to get from here to here. The The second cost entry is going to be what we call the vault cash. So the vault cash is money that we're going to put into the ATM. So I recommend around 2,000 hours. You could start with less, but 2,000 hours seems to be like a good rule of thumb to start out with a location. You're going to put the 2,000 hours in the ATM, and then the money's going to come back as they take it out day by day. The next day you're going to get your money. Again, Monday, Tuesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Thursday, Friday, and then the weekend money is going to come in most of the time on Monday, depending on the processor you use, and you're going to get it on Tuesday. Okay? So what a lot of guys do, or a lot of people do, is they'll go to the bank on Tuesday, take all the money out, and then put the money back into their ATM, and then again on Friday. So twice a week, you're going to take the money out, and you can go back. And then as you build the process up, and you get a little bit more money, then you can put more money in, and maybe you don't have to go to the bank as often as those 2 times. But basically, rule of thumb is 2,000. So we got $2,300 or $2,600 on the high end for the ATM. 2,000 for vault cash is $4,600, and then the next cost is going to be the education. First thing is what we got to do is we buy an ATM. Then the second thing we do is we place the ATM, and the third thing we do is we set up a surcharge, and we set up a commission structure with the location. Okay, so how it works is we have a customer that comes in and they take out $100 out of the ATM. So for this example, we're going to say that it's a $3 surcharge, okay? And we're going to use 10% of the surcharge is going to go to the location owner. So for this example, 30 cents, which is 10% of $3, will go to the location owner. $2.70, that would be the ATM owner's, in this case, our profit. We will get that money deposited in our account the next day. So somebody will go over to the ATM. Let's say for this example, they'll take out $100. They'll put their debit or credit card in, they'll punch in their code. What'll happen is the processor will call out to the network to make sure that there's the funds available. If in fact the funds are available, it will authorize the ATM to dispense money. For this example, it will be $100. Then it will dispense the $100, and it will print them a receipt saying that $103 was debited from that cardholder's account. $100 for the money that they received out of the ATM, and then $3, which we call surcharge. $2.70 will go into the ATM owner's account, and 30 cents will go into a holding account that will be distributed at the end of the month into the store owner's account. So a lot of times we get asked, well, wait a minute, I don't understand. I'm going to get $97. How does that work? No, they're going to ask for $100. In this example, you're going to get the whole $100 back. I hope those tips were helpful. Always remember to like and subscribe our YouTube channel, and hop over to the ATM Mastermind group page for like-minded individuals just like yourself who want to learn a little bit more about the ATM business. Always remember, we have an ATM A to Z course that teaches you from A to Z how to get into the ATM business and be very successful.